Here, nobody believed their stories and were guided by prejudices. But more than 30 years later, someone appeared who could be their salvation. The case of the Menendez brothers grabbed worldwide attention because of how controversial it was. Two young brothers from a prestigious family, millionaires, attractive, and with a bright future ahead, were arrested for one of the most infamous crimes imaginable, ending the lives of their own parents in their mansion in Los Angeles, California. As more details emerged, the case became even more interesting. The two brothers were arrested 2 months after the event, but at first, they weren't suspects, as it was believed that the crime had been committed by the mafia. However, the brothers raised suspicions when they started squandering the family's inheritance. Lyle bought a Porsche and even opened a restaurant in the heart of Beverly Hills. So where was the grief for their loss? These behaviors would be their downfall, but what no one knew was that it was a form of emotional catharsis, which they later tearfully confessed to the jury. When the brothers were arrested, the media sold the story as two spoiled rich kids who killed their mom and dad out of greed. And that was precisely the accusation the prosecution used against Lyle and Erik. But when the brothers took the stand, they revealed something horrific. From the time they were 6 and 7 years old until 2 weeks before the tragedy, their own father, Jose Menendez, a respected music mogul, had been doing unspeakable things to them. Listening to them speak, you could imagine the worst. During the first trial, the defense called 56 witnesses, teachers, coaches, family members, and friends. These testimonies revealed that the Menendez family was not at all what it appeared to be. However, the most that could be said was that it was a dysfunctional family. Still, one testimony sent chills down the jury's spine. An older cousin of the brothers testified that one night, when Lyle was small, he came to her room very scared and asked if he could sleep there, in the other bed, because he was terrified to sleep elsewhere. This hinted that the brothers might be telling the truth, but a coincidence would turn everything upside down. The jury gave their verdict. 6 voted that Erik and Lyle had committed the crime impulsively, and the other 6 voted that they had planned it with malice and forethought. Just as they were trying to reach an agreement, another controversy erupted. O.J. Simpson had been declared innocent, even though everyone knew he wasn't, as all the evidence clearly pointed to him. Because this had been another highly publicized trial, the prosecution had been made to look incompetent in the eyes of the public for failing to bring O.J. to justice. As a result, the Menendez brothers' trial became California's prosecution office's chance for redemption. And they played it well. In the second trial, the first thing the prosecutors did was ask the judge to bar all evidence and testimony about what the brothers had experienced in their childhood from being used by the defense. Surprisingly, the judge agreed, which meant that in the second trial, only superficial evidence was allowed. Everything else was ignored or dismissed, making it easy for the jury to sentence the brothers to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Ironically, if they had been convicted of manslaughter in the first trial, they would have been released after 22 years. Instead, they have now been locked up for 33 years with no chance of parole. Inside prison, the brothers have both married, but they haven't seen each other in decades. They claim they still have hope that justice will come, and they say that in prison, they finally found peace compared to the hell they lived at home with their father. However, their lawyers have told them to be realistic. Without new evidence, they will never be freed. But it seems salvation might come from the least expected source. Jose Menendez, as director of RCA Records, was obsessed with making a musical deal with the Puerto Rican band Menudo, a boy band concept where the members entered as kids and left when they turned 16, keeping the lineup constantly young. The group was a huge phenomenon in the 80s, and Menendez wanted to bring them to the U.S., which was a massive success. But there was something more horrific behind the scenes. One of the former members of the group, now an adult, named Roy Rosello, came forward, ready to help the Menendez brothers. But how could Roy, who had moved to Brazil and distanced himself from anything related to the group, decide to tell all? Roy revealed that one day, the group's manager, who was very close to Jose Menendez, took him to Menendez's mansion in Beverly Hills. There, Roy saw the brothers as young boys, only to be taken by Menendez himself and subjected to the same hell that Erik and Lyle had endured. Roy said it took him a lot of courage to share this, as both Menendez and the manager of Menudo had been cut from the same cloth. Now, Roy is determined to seek justice for the brothers and for any members of Menudo who experienced the same horrors at the hands of the manager. This sounds somewhat hopeful for the brothers, but only time will tell. Will justice prevail, or will prejudice continue to dominate?
Well, let me say it.
What do you think?
There are people, a great number of people, who think that you two are spoiled brats, that you are evil, that you are monsters. What do you say to them?
That's not who I am, but I can't defend that. Because I came from a family of wealth, it doesn't make me spoiled.
I would be surprised if anybody that was present at the trial and saw the whole thing rather than snippets on the news would feel that.
A jury found you both guilty.
Right, but I don't think you aren't guilty because they found you spoiled.
Or evil.
Or evil.
Just a normal, I'm just a normal kid.
Oh, Erik, you're a normal kid who killed your parents.
Yeah, I know.
And you still say you're a normal kid?
Well, I didn't have normal experiences, but I am. I did that, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about what happened and wish that I could take that moment back or change what happened. But it